So we're going to talk about my latest collection with FreeSpirit fabrics, and it is called Palette, and it is a year-long fabric release, all right? I'll explain the whole concept of Palette and what that means and what to expect from it. But the first color in Palette, which happens to be pink, we're going to start off with a shock pink, is going to be in stores in October of 2024. That's when the first color actually goes into store. But as I mentioned in the intro, that the fabric landscape is very, very different. They go out and pre-sell to stores months in advance so they can order it and get the inventory in and all of that. So that's why often you'll see people talk about a collection months before it hits the store. And typically I like to do lives when, well, stuff is available. But this one is quite unique, so I want to explain what the whole concept of Palette is. So Palette, I'm going to just bring this in. What we've set up is really a fabric collection. There are 120 SKUs in Palette, 120 SKUs that we've designed all at once, which has been, I mean, we've started definitely last year and have worked on this. And some of the collections actually are still in the works. They're not even in the final stages yet. But what this is that every month, starting in October for a year, a collection, 10 designs in one color palette will be delivered to a store, be available in store. And of those colors are completely unique designs to that color palette. And that's what I'm going to share today in the live. I'm going to actually show you the designs in each color palette. This is just a little snippet of the colors. We start with pink in October and we actually build that rainbow palette. So we've got pink one month, and then in November, red will be available, and then orange, and then yellow, and then we kind of break it up with the neutral. Then we go into some greens, and we go into teals and indigos and purples, and then another neutral, and then we finish with kind of our wild card set, the multicolor pack, and that is in September. We have a lot of unique things in the world of palette because typically in fabric they talk about colors in a specific design, and then they often do that particular design in colorways, meaning it could be the same design but maybe they print it in pink or red or blue. Palette is not that way at all. Every design within each color is unique to that color, meaning we didn't take the same design and switch the colorway. Even if you see, for example, tickets, and you'll see a little close up when I bring in the actual fabric. It's not like we took the same design and just put red over it. The pink tickets are actually pink tickets that we've scanned in and used. Red tickets are red tickets, so they are unique to each color group. And it's quite intriguing because the retailers even haven't seen this full collection. So if you're a retailer, definitely do a shout out if you're bringing in Palette. You can check with your retailer. Just so you're aware, Palette is only available to independent retailers. It is not sold in any chain stores, will not be sold in any chain stores. So this is a collection that's only available at independent retailers. And I say that because it could be an independent quilt shop, but also a lot of independent retailers that are in the papercraft world have brought in fabric, which is great, both online and brick and mortar stores that do fabric, and they sell it in different ways. Some sell it by the yard, some sell it in pre-cut designs, and so I think that's really important as a maker to reach out to your store to see if they're going to bring in Palette. Right now, from a sales perspective, because I'm kind of balancing this live as like to retailers and to makers, they can still sign up to be a retailer for Palette. There are retailers that could be charter members, where that means they kind of get in first crack, and that means they're guaranteed delivery of all the colors. But they'll be accepting retailers for the next couple of months. But of course, that the later the retailer decides to get on board, the less chance they might have of getting all of the colors. Because as this happens, when a color ships, if it sells out, it's not guaranteed that FreeSpirit is going to reorder that color. Now, we're saying it's not guaranteed because at this time, they're not planning on replenishing these colors in real time. You know, maybe a few months in, they might look and say, oh gosh, we had a huge demand for pink. We might select a couple designs to replenish. But typically for this collection, it's kind of that one and done situation where if you see a color or design that you like, that you definitely want to pick up whatever you think you want. And the idea, you'll see, is to build your palette. I don't want you to be overwhelmed by that 120 SKU number, because fabric, it comes in a lot of different ways. It comes in bolts, that's going to be yardage, and typically for retail stores, my fabric is in 15-yard bolts, so that's going to be that folded thing that you would see in a fabric shop. Palette, because it was really important that we wanted to make it manageable for retailers, it comes in 10-yard bolts. So it's not as much fabric as they typically would get from Eclectic Elements, but it's important to know that, 10 yards, they can go through it pretty quick, especially for those that quilt and do all of that. You can, a couple yards of fabric is really nothing in the world. But in addition to yardage, they're also doing fat quarters. And if you're unfamiliar from any of this kind of verbiage and you're like, I don't even understand this stuff, you can watch any of my previous videos on fabric. There's even some that I actually take you through and talk about fat quarters. But fat quarters are pre-cut pieces. They're a fat quarter yard, and it's folded. It comes in a great little square. But fat quarter stacks are another way that a lot of makers love that, because you don't want to, and in stores, all types of stores that carry fabric typically sell fat quarters as well. But it's a nice way that you can either get a small piece, or you can get a fat quarter bundle. So you'll see that each colorway, when it launches, in addition to yardage, will have a fat quarter bundle, which is a piece of all 10 of the designs in that specific color. Now there's going to be retailers that will sell this fabric in other pre-cuts. They might do 10 by 10 squares. They might do a lot of different things. And I think the importance of this particular live is to just share with you how the fabric comes, how it's available, so you can reach out to your store and see if they're going to bring in palette. There might be stores that are doing like a palette club or a palette kit or a palette program. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but I think by understanding the expectation that we're building the colors will also help you understand the magic of what palette is all about, okay? So that was kind of just the real brief overview of business, and I'll answer questions as they come, but I'm going to talk really about the designs, because that to me is, well, that's where the magic is. Let me just bring this in. We'll talk about our first color. I'm going to see if I can get this. There we go. Look at that. I'm going to try to bring it in, and okay. Woohoo. All right. Our first color. So this is the first color in palette. This is pink. I see a lot of people talking about different stores that have it, and I agree. If you are a retailer and you plan on bringing in palette, do a shout out here in the chat. And I also encourage you that following the live, go into the comment section and leave your store name if you're going to bring in palette, or if you know a retailer that has it. I think that's great. So we start with pink because, as I mentioned, we're building a palette. And so each month there are 10 designs in a color. So this is pink. These are the designs in pink. And this is cotton fabric. It is, of course, inspired by everything that we've done in the world of ideology. So you can see the beautiful game cards. You can see like even this pink that looks like a solid, it's got this watermark staining in it. So it's not really your typical designs, but what we wanted to make sure that in each color, we were also very mindful of different tones. So it's not really all matchy-matchy. It's something that maybe there's going to be pastel, maybe there's going to be, more of a magenta pink, maybe more of a faded pink. Like even this floral, there's all these staining in here, because if you know Eclectic Elements is really all designed with imperfections, designed with stains, designed with all of that. And that was really important, that we kept that authenticity of the brand as we created this palette. You can see there is typography. I love the typography of this because it just has, as a maker, you could cut this up and utilize it in collage. You can sew it, you can glue it. So even like these little stains, all by design, all that foxing that we do in the world of ideology, we wanted to keep that very true in the world of palette. Even down to our ephemera, there's pink ephemera that has happened in the ideology line for years. And so I gave that all to Jenna. I'm like, here's a lot of different pink elements that we've used, and she created a beautiful collage fabric for pink. So you can see how unique that is, just different types of paper elements. And we really tried to choose as many authentically colorful elements as possible. Like this game card is truly a pink game card, or worn wallpaper that Paula found that has the floral. So it's amazing to see the designs on fabric. This fabric is all digitally printed. That's what's allowing us to do so many different colors and so many different designs in a monthly release program. And I love that because we also get incredible detail. You can see this one, take a look at this. It's a beautiful, almost like a tapestry looking wallpaper. It's got just beautiful detail lines in it, and I love the different stains. The retailers actually have access to the images of each color group. I believe it's every quarter. They'll see 3 at a time. So as a as a maker, if you're a quilter, maybe you're planning, you can also go in and just ask if they, maybe have a catalog, because like what I brought in, many retailers will have access to these types of catalogs that they get where they'll see all of the fabric. There's going to be quilt inspiration that goes into stores every single month. So FreeSpirit is offering a quilt program that goes in. So there's a lot of fun, cool things. Look at that quilt. Vintage inspired quilt every single month, totally different, that incorporates that color. So there's a lot of support as well that we're doing from a retail perspective, but also an inspiration perspective for palette. So it is important to just really ask questions to your retailer. Wanted to incorporate maps. Maps was always a really important part of Eclectic Elements. We had a great selling design called Expedition. And so I wanted to incorporate many different maps into palette because they offer such a unique dynamic in design. So there again, as we've collected maps, we incorporated them in so many different layouts, so many different formats, and I really love this pink. It's just absolutely beautiful. Then of course, tickets. So there are a few designs that you will see in every single color of palette. And when it comes to that, it was important for me to also have a little bit of cohesiveness, especially as a different type of maker. As I mentioned, I'm not a quilter, but I do like to incorporate fabric in mixed media. And there were elements that I know that I would use. So tickets, I've collected a bazillion tickets. So we have a ticket fabric in each of the colors for palette, but of course the tickets are unique to that. There are some overlaps because, like a 5-cent ticket does come in many different colors. And then if you are a fan of ideology, this should come as no surprise. Those stamps that we did in the sticker book, we did fabric for all of those stamps. And it's beautiful to see all of the postage stamps in fabric. I'm even just I'll just bring this up a little bit closer. I'm not gonna try to disassemble all the boards, but look at that detail that we're able to get because of the digital printing. Absolutely beautiful. So there will be stamps in every color. And then of course, I think the graphic that caught a lot of people's eye was this particular fabric. Yes, there are collage strips, the large collage strips that we brought out this year. There are collage strips in every single color, including multi that you saw in the graphic. So there were a couple comments going, is this graphic, is this actually gonna be fabric? Yes. So each month there is a collage strip. Of course, the collage strips are different. So that incorporates photos. I mean, look at that, photos, handwriting, all these beautiful strips that Paula designed. They are amazing on fabric. Like this is actual production fabric that I'm showing you for this color. So this isn't a mock-up. I mean, it's truly remarkable just to see the detail. And that was another thing that FreeSpirit needed to figure out. How could we manufacture the type of art that I wanted to do for palette and really bring that to the marketplace? And digital printing just allowed us a lot more creative freedom when it came to how we incorporated these designs. So again, in the month of October, this will be in stores. These will be these 10 designs for pink. And then as we go to the next month, there will be 10 more designs. And like I said, if you like this, so the idea is, some of you are collectors. I get that. I don't judge you because I am one of you, where you're like, you know what, I need it all. And maybe a fat quarter bundle is going to be your jam, or maybe you're going to go into your shop and say, I need a quarter yard of everything, or whatever. But at the same time, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, or a retailer. We have had a couple comments from retailers going, oh, that's too much fabric. And I'm like, seriously? A fabric shop saying that's too much fabric is like a candy shop saying I don't like sweets. But okay, the idea here is that you, as a maker, I have to say what I say. As a maker, the idea behind Palette was giving you the opportunity to curate your own collection. So you may not go in and say, you know what, I want 10 pink fabrics. No, maybe you don't. Maybe you're going to go in and say, you know what, I love this one and I love this one in pink. So those are the ones that I'm going to get, a cut of. Or maybe you just want to collect the collage strips. So you're just going to want either a fat quarter or a half a yard or whatever of just one design. So don't feel like, you need to collect everything to bring it in, but maybe you want to, because knowing that they're all unique designs, that's also something that's, that to me is pretty fun as a maker, is knowing that each month I'm going to actually build a collection of designs. Would be like collecting stamps, whether I have different designs of stamps or pattern paper. We know as creatives, I just want you to know that this is about you not being overwhelmed by the design choice, but giving you the ability to either collect a huge palette of fabric or curate your own. All right. So these were the 10 in pink. Absolutely beautiful, right? I'll go a little closer as I take this board out. We'll just go across so you can see a little bit more of the detail. All right. Moving on to the next color. So in the month of November, the next color up in palette will be red. And it's just, oh, so good just to see all of the different designs. We've tried really with different scale, different repeats. It is really important, you know, from a quilting world, which is a space that I don't necessarily understand, but that it was really important that we created things that were very unique, but also very beneficial to how people make and sew. So we were very aware when we were designing, because sometimes they'd be like, no, I need this to be smaller, bigger. They're like, no, we need a scale variance, a different repeat orientation, all of that when it came to the world of palette. All right, so red, there again, you can see that we've got some warm red, some deep dark red, some blue cherry red, some kind of faded red, but there is a red nuance throughout this collection, and as you can see already, completely different. Oh, cool. Fort Mountain Quilting, proud to be a charter member of Palette. So yes, a shout out to the charter members. Charter members are retailers that said, yes, I'm in. Because like I said, this is very different, because in order to sell Palette, retailers have to commit to the entire program. Meaning they're either in it and they're going to sell it for the year, or it's not available to them. So unlike typical launches that I do with FreeSpirit, Eclectic Elements, where a retailer can go and kind of pick and choose the fabrics they want, this was something that I felt was very important, that it was presented to not only the retailer, but to the consumer as an opportunity to select and curate, as I said, their own collection. And so retailers that are in from go are charter members, and they get all sorts of great perks from FreeSpirit. But it's also something that, like, if a store says, oh, you know what, I just want to order the tickets. Well, you can't just order the tickets. You're either in or out. But retailers that are part of Palette can actually also pick and choose if they want more of a design, which is also great. So even though they have to bring in all 10 every month, they might, you know, if you're a customer supporting it, they might know, like, hey, so-and-so always gets, you know, 2 yards of the collage strips, and I've got 20 customers that want that. Well, I need to order extra bolts of this one design. That's another great thing that retailers can do if they sign up to be a Palette retailers. They can actually pick and choose how much extra they want of individual designs. So that's good. I think it's really great. So in reds, you're going to see that this solid is very unique. It's got these weird little kind of dot pixelated numbers. I wanted to leave that in there. It came off of a document, and it looks weird because it looks like, uh-oh, you know, maybe the computer printed on here when it shouldn't, but nope, that's by design. A map. Absolutely love this map. So you can see from this particular map, it's completely different than the other one. We left, it's a different scale than the others, a different repeat. Jenna did an amazing job actually laying out each of the maps, because it's a huge challenge of how the repeat went, and I absolutely love how this works. Another thing to keep in mind as we go through the colors is that the colors, remember, pink is not available until October. So it's not in stores until October. It can't be. So you might see stores that say sold out or not available, because it isn't yet. The last color pink wasn't going to be in stores until October. This one is not in stores until November. So keep that in mind. But again, get on a wait list. Ask a retailer if they have a call list or some type of club that they're creating for Palette. Really important. Take a look at this one. This is like, I don't know, it's like carpet bag tapestry. You would think that this is going to have, like, I don't know, some crazy beautiful texture, because even all the dark staining in there is part of this design. Absolutely beautiful. I love this design in red. Then this is something that I know Paula and Rochelle, well, a lot of makers love. We refer to these as ditzy prints, little ditzy flowers, little tiny little backgrounds. You're going to see a lot of these types of prints, this scale, this tiny little organic print in many different colors. Of course, different designs, but I think that tiny little print there, they almost look kind of paisley, but you'll see when I bring the board closer that it has all these little different dots. Absolutely beautiful. The typography for red, I have to say, is one of my favorites. This was an old lettering chart, and I love it, because The typography, of course, was hand done. It's not computer generated. And I think that the authenticity of it, it just, I don't know, has like a very, Mary Poppins Jolly Holiday vibe for me personally. But I do love the typography. And you see that it's completely different than the typography in pink, because each color group has unique art to it. Very important to understand. Very important. Then take a look at this one. Beautiful wallpaper. I love the stripes that we put in there. So this has stripes. There's a little bit of handwriting back here that says, it actually says, because I love you. I don't know if you can see that. I'll bring that part closer, but like there's just some little handwriting in there that just says, kiss me darling, because I love you. So it's just really faint in there. A beautiful detail in the fabrics that, even though I'm showing you a sneak peek, if you will, of the fabrics, I think when they're in store, it's definitely worth going in and taking a look. Or when they're online, I know that there'll be much larger representation of them. Take a look at this ledger. I know already it's a favorite of mine. I love all the different ink colors, but more importantly, that little bit of red, all the red lining and the red handwriting. I mean, look at that. Look at all the numbers. We love a good ledger. It's really a good one. Beautiful. Then we have tickets. And of course, red tickets, but very different. These tickets don't exist in the other one. This is what I was mentioning about, like, certain tickets come in pretty much every color. So those are included in most colors, but there's unique tickets to each of these designs. I knew you'd like that ledger, Paula. It is. It's like, when I hold it up, it'll be worth the detail. You'll see. Then of course the stamps. I definitely love the red stamps. Different stamps than pink. So it's not like a colorway. They're completely unique art to it. And then, of course, our collage strips. And I love the collage strips where it's got the Queen of Hearts, the photos, the handle with care. So let me bring this up. So again, red is November. So here you can see that little bit of dot text I was talking about in the solid. There's the map. Look at see that little detail in that deep red? I told you it's almost like carpeting. The little ditzy print where it looks kind of like berries. There's the alphabet. There you go. Can you see that little handwriting in that striped wallpaper? See, there it is. Kiss me, darling, because I love you. So just something just tucked into that little fabric, but you could cut that out and just use that as a strip for something. There you can see the ledger. You see the tickets. Love all of those colorful tickets, the postage stamps, and then, of course, seeing those photos and collage strips. Beautiful, right? So that is red, and that is the color coming out in November. I agree, Stacey. The handwriting, it's like that little detail. Like, I love this little detail that I have on the back of the photo. They're like, well, let's incorporate it into the fabric. So there's just going to be little surprises in the details that I absolutely love. Absolutely, Dawn. She said she loves the color variations, and that is something we really wanted to keep in mind, that even though we were doing a color palette, it was not all matchy-matchy. It was just really some different tones. So next up, we're going to talk about orange. And this is really a surprising one, because I'm not a huge orange fan person, but it is really interesting how beautiful these colors come out. I think it's quite crazy. So the uniqueness, of course, of each color collection, we also didn't want to stick to a formula. Outside of these three, as I mentioned, where we have the collage strips, the stamps, and the tickets, that is really pretty much the only, I'll just say, design continuity that we wanted to do in the world of palette. Everything else, we were just, here, let me get, there we go. There's one in there. I'm trying to get this on my screen. It's a big board. Everything else, we just wanted it to be very cool. So it's not like, well, wait a minute, where's the this and this color? No, these are the only three that we're going to have kind of that cohesive role. Everything else, it's what we felt was the perfect art to match in this color, because like I said, we didn't want to just do a wash. We wanted to find ephemera and elements that I've used that authentically work with this particular color palette. So orange, this will be in stores in December, and you can see just how beautiful the botanicals are. This one has just some great sketch work. This was such a cool piece of ephemera, and just the beautiful florals in there. So this is a nice creamy neutral background. You can take a look at this little ditzy print for orange. It's tiny little flowers, but it has it's a rich color. It's very golden orange, I would say. I mean, I could speak in the world of distress, and this is spice marmalade here. But I know that there's a lot of a lot of fans of the organic, so take a look at this mushroom tool. So this came from a French encyclopedia, and I think the imagery, wait till you see the text. When I hold it up close, you'll see a lot of the beautiful text in there. But look at that. I mean, the detail, because it's a digital print, so cool. And the fabrics are unique. It may not be your jam. You may not be like, I do not want this, but somebody else might right now be dreaming of a mushroom dress and saying like, that is it. But it's important to know to get it in December when it's in stores, because if you're like, oh, I'm going to go back in March, well, if your store still has that color available, great, but this isn't something that will be replenished throughout the year. It's one color a month, and so it is important to let your retailers know what you're interested in. Then this is the solid. So this one, I do love this. This is very Rusty Hinge in the world of distress, but I love the staining, the splattering. It's just a cool solid that we have in the background. I think this might have come, I don't know, this might have come from a book cover. It's hard to remember. I know that Paul and I sometimes will look at ephemera and be like, where did we get that? I don't know. We scan in pretty much everything we can. Take a look at this map. Liverpool. Absolutely love this map. And because I loved it, it was really important that the repeat wasn't overlappy like the previous two colors. I'm like, Jenna, I just love this map. And she's like, well, then that's the repeat. We'll keep the whole map because I love the colors. This map is naturally that orange color with this beautiful greenish teal, but I also love that it had Liverpool on it. It's a vintage map, and I just think it's such a great piece that I think a journaler would love to put this on a journal cover, or if you were going to create, pencil pouches, you might want to use it, or if you're doing quilts, there's a lot of great, interesting aspects and elements to it as well. But it was a favorite. And that was the cool thing also about as we designed Palette. We looked at the actual elements we were doing and what was the best way that we wanted to create it. We wanted these flowers big, we wanted these small, I wanted this as it was. So it's been really great to design. And then you can see ephemera, again, a lot of very familiar ephemera to those in the world of ideology, including like the back of the cabinet cards, like we've used in photo frames. This particular one was something that I just put all of the orange ephemera or maybe orange backdrops that we've done into a file, and Jenna created a beautiful collage with it, whether it was tickets or tags or just element pieces. But I do love this orange one. Although this next one I know it's a favorite. It's going to be a favorite for a lot of people. This botanical is ridiculous. It's absolutely amazing. It's got great little numbered details. When I hold it up close, you'll see how beautiful this is. This is it's such a stunning fabric because, again, this came from a French encyclopedia. So the illustrations are amazing, but also the little details and nuances that we kept in, even like, there's a little signature right there. We kept that on there. We just wanted to keep as much authenticity as possible. But when you see the detail of the floral, and again, I'll hold it up closer, you will really appreciate the digital quality printed on fabric. And again, this is production. In these first three colors that I'm sharing, this is actual production. So it's not like, oh yeah, he just showed us some fancy little printout. Nope, this is the real deal. Then we have the tickets. So again, some unique tickets. I love that. Some different number tickets. I mean, I collect tickets from all over. I don't know what it is. I have stacks of ticket rolls all over the place.
Oh my gosh, you love tickets.
I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of the whole theme park. I don't know.
50 rolls of them in here.
I probably do. I love them. I think that's really great. So again, as a maker, you might be seeing this through the eyes of a quilter. You might be seeing this through the eyes of a mixed media or a junk journaler, where you're like, oh, hey, I'm going to take this and look at all these pieces I could cut out, and use and incorporate. That to me was very important. Then as we started playing with the stamps, one thing we also wanted to do was not only make sure that we had the color of the stamps, but we didn't want everything on a white background. So what you'll also see as we do the stamps in each particular color group, that sometimes we kind of cast a little hue on the background, so it's not always stark white. Sometimes we leave it a little cleaner, but a lot of times we're trying to kind of incorporate a little bit of that tone to make it more cohesive within that particular month's color release. And then of course we have the collage strips, which is just so beautiful because it's got the butterflies and the stamps and the photography in there. Look at that. Look at the detail. So good. So there are the stamps. You can see what I was talking about. Like, it's just a little peachy wash, I would say. There's the botanical. I'll even flip this back a little bit so you can see. I mean, come on with that. So beautiful. All the little details. Then we've got the ephemera piece. There's the map with Liverpool. Then we've got the solid. Of course, that's what I was talking about. Look at the detail. Even that little typography you're able to see in the mushrooms, and then the ditzy prints, and then of course you see just that beautiful sketch in the florals. So quite cool. So even if you think like, I'm not really an orange person, well, I don't know, there's going to be some designs, and that is the idea, that you go into the shops and you're like, okay, so this month is orange. Which ones do I like? Oh, you know what? This is going to go good with what I have, or this is going to go good with this other element. Those are all things that you want to be mindful of. So this color, again, is December. All right. Whew. Here we go. Now we're headed into uncharted territory, because now I'm going to show you things that retailers haven't seen yet, but it's exciting because you guys get to see it. Can you believe there's an entire thing of yellow? For anyone that knows me is already going to be like, I can't believe you didn't just skip over yellow in the palette. Well, I couldn't. And this one really surprised me because it is beautiful. I think that's absolutely incredible. It is really, really beautiful when it comes to seeing this. And these boards, I mean, we had such a great time. Mario was just ironing, I was folding, we were setting up these boards. I mean, we probably spent, would you say, like 5 or 6 hours at least? Maybe it was even up to. We spent a day doing these boards where, you know, I wanted to find the perfect little section to display, and ironed it. So yeah, it's good. It's really good. So this is yellow. So yellow will be January of next year. So keep that in mind. It's January of next year. And it's important to remember that, because I hope that as retailers get on board with this, they do anticipate the excitement of customers. They do some type of wait list, or they do some type of maybe monthly kit where you don't even have to worry about it, because they'll let you know when the color's in. It's going to be something difficult, but also something exciting for them to manage, I think, if everyone just embraces a new concept. I'm all about embracing a new concept.
You are.
So in the world of yellow, let's start with this one. This yummy, eroded, decayed book cover that is so perfect for yellow. It is a beautiful, like in the world of distress, I would describe this as mustard seed with a touch of fossilized amber. It's such a cool fabric just from the erodedness of it. And like I said, I'm not a huge fan of yellow, but this, yes, I'd do this for sure. I would have something in that. I don't know, maybe a pillow or bag or something. Rochelle's like, okay, you're going to get a yellow bag. I like it. Then we have another botanical, and again, completely different. So this is a totally different type of botanical, different illustration, came from a whole different time period than what we've done in orange, because we wanted to keep it authentic. This is a design that actually had yellow florals in it, and there's some little touches of pink. There's even a little bit of purple in this particular one, but this felt right in yellow because it also had these neutral tones to it, so we wanted to incorporate that. Next is game cards, and you can see from the game cards, different game cards than pink, completely different, because these were, well, they were actually yellow game cards. And I love the layout of this. We kind of tiled this instead of did some overlap. So even when you see multiple game cards, and you will, because that's another thing I collect, are game cards, is that as you're going through, we try to make the orientation unique. Even if you're like, you know what, I'm just going to collect all the game card ones. Okay, there's not one every month, but you might collect it, but at least they're not going to be the same scale. They won't be the same repeat. They won't even be the same orientation. It's just fun. And I absolutely love that. And that to me was really important, is just embracing palette, knowing that there's going to be something for everybody. It doesn't mean that it's something that I would want, but I know I saw a comment that somebody will like it. And that is important, that we create an assortment that is really inspiring for the maker. And when it comes to patterns, like even a ditzy print, we could have taken the easy route and just said, you know, we're just going to do this. We love this pattern. We're going to do it each one. Nope. We went in and found a totally different pattern that we felt really resonated with that color. I love the ditzy print in yellow. You'll see it's got these little tiny florals and these leaf elements throughout. Quite beautiful. This map, there again, this is a map. This is Great Britain. So it's a great vintage map of Great Britain, but the colors lent themselves to it. We didn't alter these colors. This is how that map came, but it was so perfect in yellow, even though it had these other touches of pastels, like with a little bit of pink, even some deeper yellow and some blues. It's a beautiful fabric, totally different from a map. But take a look. These next two, oh my gosh, it's unreal. This one, these butterfly slash moths. They're really moths, but they're beautiful. Are overlapped over some vintage French script, and it's so elegant. I love how this background really plays out. I'm not much of a wonky person. You know that I don't really appreciate things on the wonk, but a butterfly can get away with that because they flutter everywhere. So I'm actually really good with this moth fabric and the fact that they're not all lined up, because they do have, it works for me. This balance definitely works for me. It is beautiful. You'll see when I hold it even closer. I think this one probably stole the show when we designed it though, because this tapestry, it looks like it came out of an old manor. It's so amazing, the detail of distress in here, because there is some water staining, there's some foxing, there's some deep dark colors, but these little pink florals and these green accents, so great. And if you're sitting here going, well, gosh, I want to sew, I need to sew, you can pick up sewing. You can just start out, and I mean, if I can do it, really anyone can do it. You can play with it. But you can also use fabric in non-sewing ways. There's all sorts of product out there that you can iron on to actually adhere to other structures or fabrics, or canvas, or you can use collage medium to glue it on. But it's also something that I've known. I didn't understand this when I first came into the fabric world, but there's just something about a tactile feel where people just like fabrics just to touch them and look at them because they're beautiful. Take a look at these tickets. So a really nice, I would say this is kind of squeezed lemonade, just a nice, well, almost like lemon chiffon, really. The paleness of the yellow, but again, the tickets, I love that Admit One. That's one of my favorites in this particular design. I love it. And all the typography, it's fun to read. You know, some of them are, theaters, some are drive-ins, some are amusement park. Very cool. And then we have the yellow postage. There's a postage stamp on this. And then one of my favorites, the yellow collage strip. So there again, on the collage strips, we've got all of those great details, all the details of the photographs, from the game cards to the botanicals. And you might just be one to say, you know what, I'm just going to collect collage strips because I know how to work with those. I can cut those, do some raw edges, glue them on, stitch them on to cards or ATCs, or make bags with them, or maybe it's some of these other designs. But take a look at this one. See, I told you, isn't that beautiful? Like, look at the detail, because the lighting, you have to understand, it's going to be very different when I'm doing the video. You know, when it's back here, sometimes it looks a little darker with the other designs, and then sometimes when you hold it in the light, it looks a little brighter. But this is pretty, let's say it's a little bit more saturated in yellow than what the light is showing. You can see that. I think if I keep my hand in there, that's even better. There's the map. So there's where it's got little Great Britain. There's that little floral I was telling you, the little ditzy print. There's the game cards, the botanical, and then this grungy solid. Yum. Isn't that nice? Yellow. Who knew? Who knew yellow would be so full of cool art and inspiration?
That is huge for you.
It is. It's really good. So that is January. So important to, I mean, it's crazy, like I told you, the future, but also designing all this fabric ahead of time, it's great because you kind of know what's coming. You can, as I said, you can kind of pick your favorites. You can come back and watch this video because this video will be here, because like if you went into a store, like I'd like to see all the palette collection, I'll tell you now, the retailers don't have access to all of the art. They're only shown 3 months at a time. So that's the other thing that I felt was important to get permission to share really an overview of the whole collection with you, so you can kind of see what's coming. And like, oh, if I would have known that this brown was coming, I would have got that pink. Okay, well, now you know. So this one, we needed to throw in a neutral. Even though we're building the palette in order, we've got pink, red, orange, yellow. We have 2 neutral collections in palette. One is a bit more on the brown side, and one is a bit more on the black charcoal side, but they have a great balance of neutrals as we went through. And so this will be available in February. Some great grunge. I know grunge lovers, if you've been rolling your eyes for, I don't know, the last 45 minutes going, oh, pink and yellow, my gosh. Well, now you can sit back and just grin from ear to ear, because this is a great collection of stuff. I already saw that Zoe spotted the gears. But if you're making, or you're looking for different types of fabrics for different types of quilts, because often, you know, in the fabric world, there's a lot of florals and elements, but this is definitely more on the grunge side. This neutral collection, we start out with a great wood grain. So this is totally different than any one that we've done in the past. Usually we've done a wood grain for like a holiday release. This one we kept very grungy, very wood plank, kind of barnwood design on it. Some great distressing. I love this advert one with the typewriter because it has some fun typography from the adverts, but more importantly, this typewriter keyboard. So I do love this aspect of it because it provides a whole different look. So you can, you know, cut out a section, or still when you cut it up, it's got some great, interesting vibes to it. This is one of the favorites. No surprise to anyone that knows me. I love a good blueprint, but I also love gears. So this is from the inventor imagery that we did, but this is a great schematic of these gears that are kind of on a, I'll say it's a worn black. It's definitely not a solid. There you'll see some wearing in that black background, maybe a little bit of brown hues to it, and then this great outline. You'll see when I hold it closer as well. Take a look at this map. This is one of our favorites. I know that Paula will remember this map well. It's a bit grungier than we did in Ideology, but we still kept these little accents of red. This map, for whatever reason, it almost had some little pencil sketches of a little bit of red. It's toned down a little bit, but it's there. So when you see this fabric, you're like, oh, it looks like there's some red streaking on here. By design. Remember, in the world of eclectic elements, destruction, imperfections, always by design. Take a look at this design. I do like this, especially for textile, for clothing, but also just some really interesting pattern for makers, for quilting. I just like these designs. So this would be what we would call the ditzy print for this. Like I said, it wasn't always floral. It wasn't always same. It was just a much smaller scale print. And I absolutely love this one just because, I don't know, I actually see clothing in this. Like I would wear a shirt in this fabric because I love it. It's really good. This floral, beautiful floral. It has a nice tapestry design. I also like the fact that it's more of a cream-based neutral. We've got a lot of open space, but I think it's just these little twiggy vine elements in here. So this is a great botanical for brown. We wanted to always try to incorporate that. But you also know me and how I love marble. Well, Paula definitely knows because I always try to sneak as many marbles into backdrops as possible. But man, in fabric, it is so good because it's a bigger scale. The repeat is flawless. You've got all this worn element. This came from an old book. This was an old book cover. But I love the look of it. I love that we kept all the spots, all the wearing. I mean, Jenna did such an amazing, amazing job. Again, you'll see a little up close in a minute. But beautiful look to that. Then, of course, we have the tickets. Neutral tickets. So a lot of those are, this is kind of a new one, but a lot of them are repeats because, you know, neutral tickets were pretty much the basic, and then, but there's always going to be unique ones. I assure you, there will be unique tickets in every one that's not in a previous one. Then, of course, the stamps. So this is where we did a lot of more of the brown taupe kind of stamps versus the black ones that will come in the charcoal release. But I love that. And then, well, our collage strips. Our collage strips that have all the different elements, the photos, the nuance. So let's hold this up. I always like just to get close to that. It's cool. I love being able to share all the art that is coming your way. So take a look at the collage strips. I mean, again, I just appreciate that typography so much and the clarity of the photographs that this is on fabric. It's wild. It's wild to see that. There are the stamps, there's the tickets. That's what I was saying about, like, look at that. Look at that marble fabric. I love that. The floral. See, it's kind of twiggy, but it also has just some great breaks in it. There's that print that I was talking about. See, it reads different. It's like little boxes, little dashes, sometimes diamonds, sometimes squares, I guess just depending on the orientation that you see it in. There's the map. Absolutely beautiful. The gears. Look at that. Very cool. There is the typewriter. Just trying to move this board. I almost knocked over the speaker. There you go. And then there is that plank. Cool. So that is the first neutral in palette. And again, this one will be in stores in February. Okay. Beautiful. So far, so good. Any questions that I haven't covered? I mean, I'm trying to. So a couple of things I did see in the chat about maybe asking about retailers. Once this gets into stores, on FreeSpirit's website, they will have a retailer list globally in July. Is that what they said?
Yes.
All right. So, and then as new retailers come on board, because they're accepting retailers really throughout the whole concept of palette, but they'll continue to update that list. So on FreeSpirit Fabrics website, they will have a palette retailer list globally, so you'll be able to see what retailer has the fabrics or not. But this is really the time to reach out to those retailers to see, maybe they haven't even heard about it. I'm not sure. But they might want to know about it so they can bring it in their store. Because again, I think getting something, I wanted to keep things exciting for retailers and for makers, that every month, I mean, we did this with the new color of distress, where, you know, you bring something out and it creates excitement. And I think getting a new color every month for a year for retailers and for makers, well, that's exciting in the fabric world. Different, but exciting, and I love it. So this next color, this is the color palette for March, and it is green. It's one of the greens. I think what's really important, we kind of did green and then we also did teal. So for greens, we kind of went all through the whole thing. We did some dark greens, some kind of brighter greens, some kind of minty greens. Oh, but the art in this, so good, so good. All right, so let's start with this one. You'll have to wait until I hold the board up, because it is one of those fabrics that you have to see it up close to really appreciate the art that's in it. Because right now it looks like muck that's just been like scratched off. It isn't. It is an old embossed book cover that has this beautiful botanical kind of relief in it, and some of it is worn away, but you'll see that when it gets closer. Right now it looks really dark, but it is a beautiful hunter green, so you'll see that when I hold it up. So the botanical for this, take a look at the art for all of the fern leaves. Again, we went into any type of illustration that lent itself to the color, and this art with the fern leaves was really beautiful. We wanted to keep its orientation pretty natural, because I think it's really important that it looks like how it should, okay? And in the case of this, we didn't want to just create this montage kind of jungle. We wanted to really appreciate not only the neutral background, but just the imagery of each of these leaf specimens on this. Then we have game cards. So you can see, again, a totally different type of game card, a different style, and a different orientation. This one has some great blocks. This lent itself, I felt, to definitely a more tiled piece. I think maybe because of the elongated shape of this particular game card, maybe even the typography, but also this really bold edge. Because some game cards come with a great frame and others don't. So it really just depends on what it was. But I love the game card in green. This is the ditzy print for green. It kind of looks like a little owl, but it isn't. They're tiny little spiral flowers and some little berries and some leaves that go together. But we always look for stuff that would create, I don't know, a really nice design element for quilting and making. Look at this typography. So you've seen typography already. So like in pink, we shuffled the orientation. We had stuff going horizontal and vertical. Then you saw in red, we actually had like more typed cards where we kept the full alphabet. This one I just thought was so beautiful. So Jenna did a great repeat, keeping everything going horizontal. So it has that wonderful linear look to it. And this is exactly how that typography sheet was, where it's all different fonts in this one. And then there's just, I don't know why they do that, but these are old illustrations where, you know, instead of, again, downloading a font, this was something where they just designed by hand the typography. So even just the level of pressure that they did, some words really appear bold and some are a little bit more faint. It's great. But this one's my jam. I would have to say it's my favorite so far of all the fabrics. Isn't that crazy? As much as I love, it's something about this one. I mean, we put out almost all 120, but this one, I don't know what it is.
I do.
What is it?
Haunted Mansion.
I guess so.
That's what it reminds me of.
Maybe that's what it is. Mario said Haunted Mansion, but this was a piece of velvet tapestry. And the striations, I guess, the streaks of this, and you're even going to see like the sewn seams that we kept in, even on the repeat. It is so, I don't know, it's so beautiful. I would wear a shirt in this, and you'd be like, are you kidding? It's not plaid. But I love it. I think there's just something about this one that is beautiful. You'll see when it's up close, but it's a dark green. It's got some great sage in there, but I think to me it's more of the texture, because even where it's sewn, like, we weren't concerned about shifting it. I know sometimes in the fabric world, you know, people do want stuff linear, and when it applied to that, we kept it. But in a case like this, where the image itself was kind of wonky, Jenna's like, you know, I think we need to straighten it up, you know, and I'm like, no, like It just needs to be, and if you want to straighten it up, you could, I guess, as a maker, but it just needs to be how it was. And that to me is what I appreciate about a great collaboration, because they're like, okay, well, that's what you want. That's what you'll get.
Sounds like Rochelle's going to be busy making chairs.
Yeah, I guess so. It's like I'm building a wardrobe as we go, right? So here is a beautiful map. This was one, well, no surprise. You can see it just from the design. It was a gorgeous old world map. I'm like, we're not cutting this up. We're just using it. So it's a huge repeat of map. It may not be for everybody, but I think it should be, because the way it's designed.
Rochelle said bring it.
There you go. Thanks, Rochelle. The way it's designed, you can see that it's got so much great detail, even down to the typography where it talks about land elevation and currents. There was no aspect of this that we could chop up. Plus, it was in the round. It was circles. And we felt like when we started laying it around with just the circles that it just looked weird. So I think having this would be beautiful. I just saw Creature Comforts. That's cool. Used to have a velvet dress. Yeah, it would totally, because that's what it looks like. You would expect that when you touch this, it would feel like velvet, and it isn't. So I think even in journals, like to have a junk journal or do an entire book out of this, or a bag out of this, like even a slouch bag, is just very cool. All right. Then we've got tickets. So here again, you can see these tickets. We kind of went for a minty background because we wanted to change it up. We didn't want it to be so boring. And that's because you'll see in the multi that we did all the tickets and we gave it more of a neutral background. So we felt that each month when it was a color, if we could somehow alter the background and it worked with the art, we did. So there is the tickets. There's the stamps. I would say the background of this is a really, really pale green. Kind of minty, but really pale. I don't even know if I'd say that mint. Just pale, for sure. And then we have the collage strips for green. Look at that. Oh, I'm going to bring this forward, see what I can knock down this time. But again, you totally appreciate all of those. And see, even in the collage strips, this is where, when Paula created these, we have the little florals and the birds and the typography. It's so cool to see this art utilized in different ways. And I love that made good. I see a lot of people just cutting that out and sewing that on so many things. I'm happy it appears a couple of times. There's the stamps you see, the tickets. There's that big map that I was see, isn't that beautiful? Like the detail of it. I'm like, how do you can't pick and choose. All right, let's give this one a moment right here. Because this is what I was saying. You can see like right here, this is where it was sewn together. And see how it just kind of comes up into a weird little point? Cool. But all those little worn streaks, oh, it's beautiful. The color, so good. There's our typography. There's that little ditzy print. See, it's like tiny little florals. There's little berries and leaves. But I still think it would be a great background. Even for collage, you can take this and you can still do things over the top of it. You can do texture paste and gesso and use this. I think, some people, when it's like fabric, they're like, oh, I don't sew, I don't have fabric. I'm like, that is so, like, how do you not embrace another surface in a medium, especially in today's mixed media world? I think that you don't have to sew with fabric. It's great that you do. You can certainly make a lot of beautiful things with it, but you can also use it in an art world. And I really, that resonates with me now as a designer. All right, I'm gonna see if I can get the light to cooperate. When I do that, it's gonna make this look much darker than it is, but you can see, if I keep my hand in there, it might be, there you go, you can see it a little better. But I'm trying to show you the relief of the floral, because there is a floral pattern. You can kind of see, if I point it out here, you can see that, and it's a repeat floral. So it's an embossed floral design throughout this entire fabric. And then some parts, that design is worn off. And that's where you're getting this. So it's kind of like, you can almost like see the leaf impression coming out of that. It's such a wonderful design on here. It's definitely dark, definitely saturated. But I would say it's more of a deep evergreen color than anything. But I love that little detail. Those are details really that when you see it in shops, or maybe when you see bigger pictures of it when it ships online, that you'll be able to, I think, appreciate all of the things that we really put into this collection. So Green Palette is in stores in March. Okay. So, hard to believe that we've already gone through half of the year. See? Time flies already. 6 months. Woohoo! Okay, we're going to keep going. It will be here tomorrow. And I appreciate you guys, seeing everything, and I love reading the comments and just your excitement and the fact that hopefully it's sparking your imagination. All right, let's get this one. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this next color, let me just try to get this in there. We go. So we're referring to this as teal. Now as we start going from teal on, I showed you the first half of the year, which was done. Now we're getting into a little bit of the unknown. So let me preface this next half of the live with, this is the point where the fabric has been designed. We have received strike-offs, and strike-offs is where the mill, the manufacturer of it, actually prints our design, and now we can go in and adjust it. We can say, oh, you know, this is too dark, we want it lightened, or this is too yellow. So just know that these next collections that I'm sharing with you are not final. It is actually, you know, production fabric, but these are strike-offs. So we might, you know, I want to reserve the right to modify these next designs that I'm sharing with you because, well, you know, I haven't given it the final approval yet. So this is teal, and this will be in stores in April. And for teal, what we wanted to do is, there were so many different elements that were really beautiful that we couldn't decide where it should go. And at one point we're like, oh, we should do a couple of greens and we should do this. And it's like, yeah, but some are just like as they are, and they might have a little bit more of an aqua or light blue. They might have a bit more of a greenish. So if we just say teal, that should kind of cover everything in this collection. And like I said, some of them, like this one, it's a little too dark, so of course it's going to be made brighter, but you'll get the idea. I'll talk you through it. So teal is the palette for April. This is one of Mario's favorites. This is an old album cover, an old photo album cover with these beautiful gold edges. But when they tiled it, they really liked how this looked. It's got some great detail. It's an interesting one because it does remind me of like old ceiling tiles. Oh, I just saw that. Yeah, it looks like old ceiling tiles or panels, but you'll see when I hold it up that it's got some great detail from an album, and I think it has to do with that gold outline. This map, I mean, this is beautiful. Look at that. It's like a treasure map. I just think, you know, that all of that line work in there and this little typography, and even just kind of like the waterways. I don't know, it has a bit of a serpent thing, but then I can also see like a mermaid through it. I don't know. None of that exists. It's just what I see with my imagination. But I love this map, and I think there were so many different elements that how we orientated it is really interesting. It's beautiful. The colors are really, really pretty. Here's another ephemera fabric. I always love these. We didn't do them for everyone, but I love seeing them because I can appreciate all of these things. Like I remember this florist tag. So this one was green, but it's green here and white here. And so some of the elements we did kind of do a little color wash on this, not necessarily to alter this, but to take out anything that was too white. I love that little school ticket. There's some flashcards, little luggage ticket, but I think this collage in teal is really, really pretty. I know that people, I mean, I saw as soon as I brought the board in how people were just going gaga over this one. This was a beauty. This was, again, another French encyclopedia. I think this was almost like a classroom poster that we're talking about all of these different types of, there are moths and butterflies. There's a mix. I think most of them are butterflies though, but the colors were just so rich. We love the look of this. Again, we might make some minor adjustments. You know, maybe we want to, you know, bring down the black a little bit, or maybe do a little staining, but I mean, you see the design. We don't really change the scale or print. It was just more color adjustments for production. But I love how this design turned out because, again, butterflies can get away with fluttering in different directions, but it's beautiful, beautiful design. I love these other pops of color of orange and yellow that go with teal. Isn't that pretty? All right. Then we have another marble. Ooh-hoo. So this is not the same marble that was in neutral brown. It's important to remember that. So it's completely different. I think this one has a bit more of a molecular look. Very similar to ones that we're doing in laboratory this year for Halloween, but definitely not the same. I love this one just because it has like almost a bubble kind of fluid. It has an oceanic vibe, if you will. Just has that. So I liked it. I'm like, we need to put one in there because it kind of looks oceany, bubbly, underwater. And I just, I love that. This one I know is going to be a favorite with many just because of its color and its richness. It's another one that, you know, we've done a lot of different tapestry and worn wallpaper in Ideology. And man, these designs really do well with with fabric because it has such a beautiful look. But I love this one because it does have, there's some teal notes to it. I would say the shadow part is teal, but this background, it's just the most beautiful color. It's almost, for distress lovers, it's very salvage patina. It just has a wonderful look in the back, and then some warm kind of peachy burnt orange design elements to it as well. So you'll see that when I hold it up a little closer. This ditzy print is nice. This reminds me of like the lining of an old suitcase, and this might have come from that, or it might have come from a book, but you're going to see some really great textural lines in this one, but also just the design. It's got the leaves and the florals, but it's not just tiny little floral prints. I just think it has a, I don't know. I still find this very, very vintage travel. Like I would see this as a travel journal. I love this one so much. Yeah, I agree. I love the ditzy of this. Then we've got the tickets. It's so crazy to just be sharing this. I have to just take a moment to be like, I'm already sharing April, right? And initially when we set out to do palette, we're like, we're not going to talk about any color. We're just going to do one a month. And here I am just showing you the whole thing. And I love it because I love to get the feedback. So there are the teal tickets, a lot of bus tickets, a lot of great transit tickets from the UK because they often came in this color, so that really worked perfect for this design. Then you can see the stamps. So the stamps are definitely a whole mixture of teal, dark blue, dark green, some light blues, some really great elements, and of course the collage strips. So I see a question about 108 quilt backs. Yes, there will be quilt backs for palette. We're just not announcing when yet, but we have already planned to do some 108 releases to support palette. So we still have some great surprises, even though I'm only sharing everything about the 12 launches of palette, but we've got some surprises planned for next year. We're not done with this idea at all. But yes, to answer your question, there will be 108 quilt backs for this collection. So take a look at, there's a collage strip. I do love that one. It's such a favorite. Some wallpaper, beautiful, beautiful elements. There's the postage stamps, the tickets. There's that print. I know a lot of you talked about that. This is the one that I was saying, like, see up close. Now you can appreciate like the stains that are in there. Oh, just the color and that design. It's almost like a little laurel leaf design. Really beautiful, elegant look. There's that marble. So that marble does have, this isn't really yellow. You know, it might look yellow on your screen, but I'm going to say this is more of a chartreuse. It's kind of an electric lime, very similar to see this color here. So it may appear yellow in there, but it has a limey vibe. There are the butterflies. Beautiful. And I would say the background, it may appear white to you, but it's actually a neutral, like a cream. There's the ephemera. Saw a lot of comments about that. Nice. It's very harmonious, right? When you see all those things kind of in the same color. There's that map. Look at that. See the detail? See what I mean? Like just depending on how you see those waterways, they just become like creatures. And then they're the covers. That's
mine.
He loves it. He does. It does. It has a really good look because, again, when the cover was worn and all of that, we kept it. And so I think it gives it a unique look of whether it's a ceiling tile, an album cover, however you read that. That's the fun part of, I think, working with fabrics is you can play around with scale and repeat in such a different way because you have more surface to work on and also how fabric gets used. So again, this is teal, and that will be April. Beautiful. All right. Next, we're going to get into blues. Now, again, I will say this is not final. There are some adjustments that I see, right away when I looked at this that I want to make. But it is important to just remember when it comes to working with fabrics that we need some lights, darks, some cleans, but also I like it a little distressed and a little dirty and a lot of things. So when it comes to blues, we actually have two blues. I'm going to show you blue, and then the next one will be indigo, which has a whole different vibe as we get into purple, because there's that too. So this collection, this will be May. And the blue palette, it's really pretty because there's a lot of fun things. This egg one, this is a concept. I'll say this one's a work in progress. To me, it definitely needs some staining and some, but it's fun because I think that it still adds almost like a whimsiness, right, to the collection, because you might want to incorporate these, especially when you cut this up, even if you're going to do, organic journals, travel journals. Like, I don't always think eggs are Easter because This particular one, again, came from an encyclopedia, so it's, you know, all the different egg types. But we like the art. I love the shadow and the illustration, so it was one that kind of surprised me that we threw in there, but we did it for the fun of it. So I like it. May not be everybody's jam, but I think it's really cool. Then we've got this great floral, beautiful floral that is a really nice blue, almost like a Wedgwood blue with a wonderful floral repeat on this that is in white. So this one definitely reads more blue and white. This one's very cool. This is a cool tiny print. I love the stripes. It kind of looks like tire tracks, but you'll see when I hold it up, it's got just very, very fine detail. It's got a little bit of teal, a little bit of green. So some colors that you're going to see when you look at the element, you're going to be able to see these colors kind of in other groups. So even though we're working within a specific palette, we also wanted to tie in some different elements within the color group. So there is some teal and green in here, just like this game card. You know, we did this game card for blue. I love this one. It's a French game card, but I love this burnt red trim that the cards had. And I'm like, well, I want to leave that in. I don't want to change it for anything like that. I love the idea of having that red in there. So you will see as we play that, even in the collage strips, you know, all the collage strips have all different colors. And so if that art had different colors, we wanted to bring it into palette for that reason. All right, so I lied. I know I said that the green velvet was my favorite, but I completely forgot about this one. So I'm going on record. I'm changing my mind. This, because, right, we talked about this, Mario. This is my favorite fabric of palette. I can't even believe and I'm not changing favorites. I'm sticking with this one. This one is this mucky artist canvas cleanup blue. I don't even know how to describe it until you see when it's held up. There are brush strokes, there are gesso marks, there are smudges, but it's the most beautiful organic background of all times. I will still say that the green velvet is my second favorite, but this one, yeah, this is definitely a shirt, Rochelle. This is for, without a doubt. It's so cool. I mean, because even on the repeat, because it's such a great large piece that there's so many cool nuances to this. So I'll hold that up in just a minute. Beautiful handwriting. I love the different handwriting. We always like to incorporate different typography in this. So this one has just some really wonderful handwriting, and it's in pencil. So it has some nice smudge to it. And I think that was important to bring into blue. It also has some fading. I mean, you can see some like linear fading. That was from the paper that this was written on. So as we scanned it in, we kept it exact. And the paper even had this weird grayish blue tone. So it really fit well with this collection. Blueprint lovers, I mean, could you be more authentic in the color of blueprint than this one? This was actually scanned in map. So it's a blueprint map of, I'm guessing, some type of neighborhood, it looks like, because I see like little land plots, but there's also some water. But we really wanted to keep the richness of this. You know how blueprints go really dark, but then they have that cool, almost yellowy fade. When you see the detail of this, it is phenomenal. So I love this. So this one we're kind of treating as our, I guess you'd say, our solid, because it does have a lot of dark solid area, but we wanted to keep the detail of this blueprint just like perfect. Oh, it would make a good jacket. Yeah. Then we have tickets. So you can see the tickets in the background in that blue. And again, the blue is very different. I mean, you can see in here that we really tried hard to have different shades and different tones as we went through each color in palette. It wasn't like, here are 10 designs, matchy-matchy. I mean, you could use them, but it was really about you can pick and choose what you like as a maker, quilter, however you wanted to curate your own collection within palette. And then, of course, the collage strips, which with photography, some beautiful botanicals, but see even pops of red and pink, and you saw pops of red here and pops of pink here and pops of yellow here, which are here. It all does still work together if you're trying to make within each color month. It's not to say that you can't just take this and make something with all of these colors. It's beautiful. So thanks, Stacey. I do agree. Like, the variation is great. So blue palette for May, I absolutely love just the details of that. There's that little dog. You guys recognize him from, if you're an Ideology fan, you've seen him pop up on a lot of things, from ephemera to pins. There's the photos, little wallpaper. There's the stamps. There's our tickets. Okay, take a look at this. Look at that blueprint. There. Now you can appreciate. See, when I said it was weathered and worn, I mean, come on. That's what the magic of great digital print on fabric. Holy moly. It's a beauty. It's just cool. And even when you cut it up, you wouldn't even know what it is other than it's a piece of cool right there. That to me is great. Tammy, she said her heart jumps every time you see it. Because really when you see that on fabric, right? The stamps, beautiful. There's the handwriting. And I'll try to get the light just to kind of hit like all of those little subtleties. The variation of the background, that's really the paper that it was written on. Okay. Show and tell.
There it is.
Look at that. Now, I mean, I don't even know how to describe it because it doesn't have any specific orientation. Maybe that's why I like it, but you can see that it's definitely like a cleanup. It's where, you know, you did art and you're like, oh, I hate it, and you smudge it and you start wiping things around. Here's more of that design. It just keeps going. It just gets better and better. And that little bit of like that amber rust, but it's like you tried to clean it up, and then when you cleaned it up, you're like, oh my gosh, I just made art with it. That to me is what I think I love about this particular one. It is my favorite. It's so cool. It's just unique. I think it's probably one of the most unique ones that we put into palette because it's muck, but I love muck. There's the game cards. There's that beautiful little ditzy print. You see what I mean? There's like little flowers, little scallop. It just reads different depending on, you know, if you're up close or away. Then there's the floral. And then this is the eggs. The eggs are probably something that maybe we're going to stain or whatever. And I also found it interesting, just the orientation, because to me it looked like the eggs were upside down, but it isn't, because that's where the names are. I mean, it was just how this particular illustration, because it's a vintage illustration, and they even did like the drop shadow. Isn't that cool? So that's how they had it. That's how we used it. Like, we're not going to flip it. That's how it is. That's how it's going to stay. And I think that's cool. It makes it unique. Makes it different. Even the spacing of that, we did exactly how it was on that vintage piece. So yeah, I love seeing that. I love seeing the different shades. But again, some adjustments. I always want to reserve the right
Reserve the right to modify.
Well, reserve the right to modify, but just minor adjustments. I'm not gonna change anything drastically, but I think, you know, there's some things that we want to do just for cohesiveness. All right, that was May blue palette. Next, we're going to talk June, and June is indigo. So if you're not into the blues, well, you know, for palette, you're going to have a couple months break, but we wanted to continue to follow through with that. So let me flip this. There we go. Woo, look at that. That is beautiful. That right there is by design. I know you might think it's a thread. It isn't. It's in the design. Okay. So this one is indigo, and you can tell already with indigo, it is deep saturated blue. It has some wonderful, wonderful ways that when you're incorporating these colors, that you really get away with a lot with indigo, because you can go deep, deep saturation like we did here, but you can also even have almost a little bit of violet undertones, but it isn't purple in any way. And I love the looks and really our choices that we made for this particular color release. I'm so pleased with. Absolutely love the indigo release. So we'll start with this. What we have is, I don't know, it's more of our floral tapestry, but this is kind of a wallpaper design. It just has such a beautiful elegance to it. I see this could be used in Halloween, but it definitely is more indigo than purple. So however you're seeing it, if you're like, oh, it looks like purple. I thought so too, until you put purple next to it, and then it's totally blue. And then when you put it next to blue, it's definitely more indigo. So I love the design of that. I also love this background. This has, you'll see when I hold it up closer, it's got like this great circular design with little dots that go around it. Definitely cool for, if you're looking for ways to do fabric and you're a quilter, you're probably coming up with a million ideas. And I think the important thing about this video to remember is that you can go back and watch it. You can jot down notes, you can take screenshots, and you can almost kind of plan ahead for what's coming in the world of palette, so you can curate as you go. As a maker, it's important to just be mindful of how we can utilize this for cards, because you can still use this as a background for collage, for strips, for all sorts of different elements when it comes to working with fabrics. My point is, you know, if you're that curious maker like I am, I'm the one that's like, oh, I'm going to buy it because I like it, and then I'll find a way to use it. I'm not saying to buy everything just because you like it, but it is one of those things that, you know, as makers, we go back and we're like, oh, that's why I bought this, and we'll find a use for it. And from what I've learned in the fabric world, because the fabric world is traditionally one and done, as this is, that they just buy, because it's like when you try to go back to buy it and you have to buy fabric on the second hand, it's very expensive. So this one is a really interesting typography piece, because it actually came on this gridded paper. So this was someone that did an entire font and filled in those blocks. So when you see it up close, you're gonna appreciate it. And it's unique because it's got this very cool, strong, bold uppercase, and then this lowercase in this smaller grid, and we put it on a gridded background. So I love that for that graph paper look. Very, very industrial, very architectural. This is a beautiful floral for Indigo, and again, very different than the one we did in blue. We've got some of these dark, deep tones, but just how the floral kind of goes out from the center. But it has a beautiful, beautiful repeat. Some roses here, some leaves. We wanted to keep it unique. I think that's great. It's very different. See, Laura, I agree with you. I don't want to sit here and just kind of be the hard sell, but this was why I wanted to do this live now. As you know, normally I do a live when the product is available. But I felt, even as the designer, because I'm also a maker, that I know what it's like that if I knew about something ahead of time, I could have planned accordingly. But if you didn't know what was coming, you wouldn't have thought to like be even interested in palette initially because you're like, oh, I'm not into pink or I'm not into this. But understanding the concept of palette, this allows you to kind of make a plan and be like, okay, well, I do want to get a little bit of everything. So maybe a fat quarter bundle of everything is my jam because now I don't have to pick and choose. I don't have to find all 10 if my store is sold out. And I think a lot of retailers might even be doing like a club or program where you just get the stack every month and then you don't have to worry about finding all the designs. So I think that's really important. This one, beautiful crackle design. Again, that line in there, you'll see when I hold it up, it's the cracks from an old book cover where the leather just kind of gave this crackly effect, different than the crackle fabric that I currently have with Eclectic Elements. This is a whole different vibe because it is a book cover. I know that Paula is going to swoon when she sees this one in real life because I actually said to her, I'm like, I can't believe this one. Paula is going to love it. This is a beautiful ledger of all vintage handwriting in there, little tiny numbers, and the most faint little lines, but these kind of faded skippity bit little red lines in this ledger on the most perfectly stained foxed background. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It is good. You'll see when it's up close. It is just yummy. Oh, she just used that paper yesterday. When I saw the fabric, I'm like, I can't even believe you can read that handwriting on fabric, on like movable textile. Beautiful. Then we've got a great map. This is of Manhattan, a wonderful city of New York. So it shouldn't surprise you when you see this. This has a similar orientation to Liverpool. Obviously, it's much longer because the map was longer. But this was one of those maps. And I'm like, we can't touch it. We can't overlap it and muck it up because every detail of this map is so cool, even down to where it says Manhattan, New York. So I really wanted this panel, probably just because all these little details in here are also very cool to cut up, or when you use elements of it. That's another interesting thing about fabric. Like when you just go in and kind of you crop different elements, it's so cool. Then we have the blue tickets. So again, reserving the right. We wanted to do some elements where, you know, the background, I think this background, in my opinion, is just a little too deep because it washes out some of these. So we might tweak the color just a little bit, but not the orientation. I love the tickets. I love that we kept in the pop of red. I love that we have some different tones in here from creams to lights. You know, some of these that are too dark to read, we lighten up. Those are the adjustments that we make prior to production when we see the strike-offs. I do love the stamps. The stamps are really good, but again, some of them to me read a little too dark, so we'll probably lighten this up just a touch and still keep it in indigo, but I love the postage stamps. And then, of course, our collage strips. And seeing the collage strips in this dark blue, it does have almost some, it is indigo, but there's definitely some darker, deeper navy looks to it. But you can see like this color over here in the collage strips because we use this as our inspiration. You know, a lot of that, like we wanted to keep that color over there. So we're really mindful of keeping a little bit of balance in there. But then there are the stamps. So they look a little lighter up close. And there's the tickets. There's that. Look at that. Look at that map of Manhattan. Oh, all the detail. See, even down to just it's like this map has some, it's almost like some staining from like a little mimeograph. That was in there, and I'm like, we got to keep that. That looks so good. All right. You ready for this? Look at this one. I mean, are you kidding me? That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Just all those little numbers. That is just such beautiful handwriting. Little opera house, it says. I mean, just That one says Spain. I'm trying to read through my phone, but it's beautiful. Isn't that great detail? Wonderful. All right. There's that dark one I was saying. See the difference? Now you can see why it belongs in indigo. You may not have seen it from a distance where you're like, ooh, that looks like... No, it's definitely indigo, and those cracks are just really, really good. So this could be, I mean, you can make pillows, you can make pencil bags, you make whatever you want with this. But the idea of building your own palette with the colors and the designs that you like, that to me is the most creative thing anyone can do for makers, is giving us the creative option instead of already deciding, you know, what it is we need to buy in a specific group. This is like, get what you like. Look at these flowers. I love the florals of that. Almost looks like a little face, but it's not there. But kind of Alice in Wonderland, but it isn't. Pretty. This is the one I was talking about. Look at that typography. So you see it's actually on that graph background. This might read really dark black, but it's a dark navy, a navy blue with a little indigo, but I would say more navy in the typography. But it's definitely reading black on the screen right now. Look at that. See, I told you that pattern's really cool, isn't it? I love the circles with little dots around. And then we have that floral. It's definitely more on that indigo side, a little bit of the violet undertone, but yeah, it's more blue than purple, I assure you on that. All right, isn't that cool? Oh, see, who knew that we needed blue and indigo? I definitely learned to trust them when we were doing this in fabric, because I'm like, do we really need like 2 blue releases? They're like, well, blue and indigo can be very, very different if it's curated right. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go for it. So that we did. So this is Indigo Palette in stores in June. All right, moving right along. It's just crazy, right? Moving on to July. So now we're really stretching. So now we're actually going, this is July, but we're really going even into the digital phase, to where like at this point, we're considering this under development yet final. So this is actually digitally printed fabric. This is not from the mill, so I want to preface that. If you're like, ooh, it looks blurry, or like this all looks yellow, that's just because I really wanted to give you an idea of what was coming through the entire year. And because this isn't far enough along to get strike-offs from the mill, I'm like, can you guys print that? So thanks, Jenna, for digitally printing this at FreeSpirit to send, just so you can see the designs. But by no means is this final color, so don't be all judgy McJudge on this, but you're going to get a flavor for what's coming your way in the world of purple, which will be in July, okay? So we start out with a map, and this is like a purple washed map. It's very dark, so I just wanted to hold that up because I know it's reading really, really black when I looked at the screen. But that is our map in purple. It's really dark. Our small print, it's a little bigger, but again, we wanted to play around with scale. So I think that this one lends itself to be a little bit bigger because it's got these wonderful circular, almost daisies for the background. I think that's great. Then we have our ephemera, our purple ephemera, and we did play around with scale on this one, so you can see that there's some stamps, but we might do some minor adjusting. You know, if things got a little out of scale or out of touch, we might reduce this just a bit before we go into final production, because some things are reading a little weird, but you get the idea that we're doing that wonderful collage element for purple. Then we have our botanical, and we're really aware because something very similar showed up in yellow, and it's from the same book, if you will, but this one has way more purple florals, so we wanted to do it. We wanted to have a different scale. The background we're still going to need to fine tune, because again, it's a little mucky or a little yellow, but we want to bring up some more of that purple vibe. But I think even having a different scale of these florals was important, as you've seen in those botanicals, that it's really interesting. I think it's going to be really important that we find that balance that you've seen. And that to me is kind of the joy of really seeing it from the mill, because a digital print can't do it if you're not a manufacturer. And the fabric manufacturer actually makes our designs look amazing because they have the technology to do it. But still, getting an idea, it's important. It's important to see. Like, even like, look at this purple marble. I mean, come on. That is so cool. Very different. It's not molecular or kind of bubbly like the other ones. This one's really swirly. And I loved this design for it. And you'll see, if you're distressed people, you can see that in purples we did Everything from milled lavender to shaded lilac, sea this preserves, dusty concord, villainous potion. We wanted all the different purples. So there's going to be cool, warm, red. It's just, that's beautiful. Even this one, this has that shaded lilac vibe, that really illuminated look in that wallpaper. A beautiful floral background, probably adjusted a little bit just to bring a little bit more crispness to the design, but really, really nice. This one will definitely be fixed because this is like a whole muck of gray, but you get the idea that the tickets will be beautiful with purple. We'll lighten this up so it has much more of a softer background, because I think in digital, well, purple's hard. You guys know if you've ever printed something, it's hard. And then we've got our stamps. Many of these read a little beige, but there'll be all the different tones that you'll see in here in purple. And of course, collage, which is reading to be very yellow, but it won't be. There we go. Some of the light will clear that up. Purple's a funny one. Even, I mean, I remember whenever I do videos, and even when we did Villainous Potion Distress, purple does crazy things to the camera. It makes things become yellow or pink or brown, but you get the idea. There you go. Closer up, I think my phone's much happier. See, look at the detail of that.
That is really showing nice.
It's cool. I think closer is definitely better for this, but some of them, I mean, they still need adjusting, but getting the idea of the design, I think, is what's most important about this live. That you know what's coming. You're like, oh, there's that, there's that map in purple, or oh, I remember that swirly whirly marble, or oh, I want that marble. So it's important to know what's coming, and it will be perfect when it comes to market. But that is purple, and that will be July of 2025. So now I'm going to talk future, because if I say just July, you might think it's next month. That's July 2025. Next, we're getting into charcoal. So as I mentioned, there were two neutrals. The first neutral was brown. This one, it definitely has some taupe beige, but this has more charcoal or black elements to it, which I think is important when we did neutrals, because you need a little bit of both. So for this one, our solid is this really great scuffed up leather. It's got some cool kind of notches chewed out of it, and the undertone of this is a brown. I would say it's probably more like vintage photo under here, little vintage photo brush corduroy, but a really great background, especially when because we wanted to do something solid, but didn't want to just do a chalkboard black. So I really like this one because it reads a lot of different things. It reads black, it reads a dark gray, but it also has some great warm tones to it for the staining. So I thought with leather, it was perfect for that. Then take a look at this blueprint. I love this building of all of these different styles for windows and doors and pediments and columns. This is a beautiful fabric for neutral in charcoal, because this is we're calling this collection Charcoal in Palette. Then we have the game card. So a totally different kind of game card. This particular game card does come small and does come gray. I think that's really, really good. I love the idea. Tammy said this is great for home decor, and you're right. I think that's good. But also, like, I don't know, something about charcoal, like these first few designs have like almost a modern vibe, like architectural vibe. So I like that, because I like how even these three would work together. It's really good. Then we have handwriting. So this handwriting, this is different. It's a different scale, a different style than what we did in the blue. I think it was blue. No, indigo. So it was really important that, as we're playing around with this, that we mess with different scales and also different styles. This one I might still modify a little bit, but I like the staining of it, but maybe I want to play around with some orientation. I'm not quite sure on this one yet. I always love a good handwriting. There's nothing wrong with that. Then we have the map. I do love this one. We've used this one in Ideology. It's a very cool map, because even though the map is actually, when it's cut straight, the orientation of these streets, that it goes in an angle, it still allows you to kind of go horizontal and vertical, but also have just some really interesting connection points. And then we left in a few frames. So it's a cool one. I think this was more important, that we created something different that we haven't done in any of the other colors. So I think that was really important. So I love having that great contrast of this map. No surprise here that I love this typography one. When this came out as a stamp, a lot of people were like, oh no, you're missing the P in this, because this is, and then everyone kind of explained like how this was done, because in the drawing you use different symbols to create different letters. So this is really exactly how it comes and how the stamp was. But I think there's something very, very unique about this style of typography. And so I thought it made a wonderful fabric, and I do believe it does. It's very, very cool to see all of these little letters, and we kept all the detail lines and the drawing lines. So if you guys remember that conversation as well, that's it. It was the no P typography. Yeah, so I love it. And we didn't want to change it. I didn't want to change it. Take a look at this. I'm so happy that we were able to do this. We weren't sure because this piece of ephemera was actually quite small, and we didn't know if this would be scalable or not. And I'm really happy that it is. It is really beautiful. These are illustrations, and I think seeing these illustrations, especially when I hold it close, there's so much great shading and detail that we weren't sure that we would be able to replicate on this. Plus, to me, this is much more entomology than the previous designs that had moths / butterflies because, you know, they were fluttering everywhere. But this was from a specimen sample, so it had a much more of an entomology science vibe, and I love it. I love that we were able to pull this off in fabric. Then we have the tickets. Again, you already know what I'm going to say, that I'm going to adjust them because a lot of these get washed out, but we'll tweak the color so it'll be great charcoal tickets for final production. Then we've got the stamps. If you have the Ideology sticker book of stamps, you know there's some great charcoal because this has not only black and white, but also wonderful grayscales from warm and cool grays into even some taupes. So that's what's on that particular stamp. And then of course the collage strips. And the collage strips, very industrial for this collection. I love that. You know, the groups, I know that's a favorite photo of Paula, but playing cards, some botanical bits, the little workmen. See, there's that design. That's how we use it in Ideology. We used it really small because that's all we could. But it's pretty amazing. I mean, I'll hold this up just so you can see in the light. Like, you see what I'm saying about all the detail? Fabulous. Gosh, even down to those little ones. We just thought it would like print out to be a bruise, but it didn't. Kept all those the little pen dots, a little shading. So good. There is the alphabet. There is the map. See what I mean? Like it was cool to just chop this one up. We didn't, just because the lines already went everywhere anyway. That's good. This one definitely more of a dirtier handwriting. Like I said, I might change this one. I'm not sure yet. I have to sit with it for a while. But right now I definitely love the staining and foxing of it. There's the game card. There's that one. See, look at all that. That came out of an old architecture book. I love that. Love that design. And then this is what I was saying about that, like, there we go. Now you can appreciate. You see what I mean? Like that, the staining is definitely brown and has just some little muck in there. That might even be like more close to tea dye, a little vintage photo, gathered twigs, and probably even some brush corduroy. See, don't be fooled by any of those solids because depending on where you see them, come back to the live and look because you might see even a photo online where you see that and you're like, ugh, it's just solid. Okay, but there's way more detail in the solid. We didn't do any just solids in palette. If it looks like a solid, it's going to have some great characteristics to it, I assure you. So this is charcoal, and this will be in stores August of 2025. So August of next year. Going to be worth the wait. That's very cool. All right. So we've got, believe it or not, we've gone through 11 months of palette already, and we have one final release that will be in September to round out palette. And what we decided to do, I want to just share like a little sneak peek. I don't want to share the whole thing because honestly, it's still a work in progress. What we wanted to do for the last collection for palette was kind of do a multi. And the reason we wanted to do multi is because as we were going through and designing this collection, there were pieces of art like this that you couldn't really fit anywhere. You're like, where are you going to put it? Is it going to go in reds? Is it going to go yellows? Do we just want to do red boxes? And I'm like, no. So multi is also going to kind of be our wild card. It's going to allow us to maybe put in neutral fabric and some other florals and just things that we couldn't fit into a specific color. And so we are treating that as our wild card. This again is a digitally printed sample just because I wanted to give you a little taste of how we are approaching multi. So this one will probably take out some of the yellow background just to make it a little cleaner. But yes, this is just like the collage paper we did in Ideology. There you go. That shows a lot cleaner than it does from the table. But it's beautiful. This is just going to be such a fun fabric to utilize and cut up. I know it's a favorite for a lot of collage people. So this will be part of multi that comes out. Then we really went, and I say we, but Jenna did all the work on this because I said, you know, I showed her what we did for ideology. I'm just opening this up so I can bring it in. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if we could take all the designs that we did for each of the collections and then do a fabric? So like take all the red tickets and do the fabric, and then go into the orange tickets, and then go into the yellow tickets, and then the green and the teal and the blue and the indigo and the purple. I didn't want to do the neutral. It kind of mucked it up, but that's going to be like the 44 of, that's a 44-inch of the multi tickets. So this is going to be such a great fabric of all the tickets, because this is the one that I said, like, we didn't want to put any color in the background. We wanted to keep it, I mean, it has a neutral to it, so it's not just white. But I love the fact that if you just wanted to do the tickets, it's going to be a fun one. Even though you might use the color tickets a different way, this one's just going to be, this will be fun. You know, I'll have a shirt of this one too. This is so good. But yeah, yeah, because Jenna she's like, you just want it in order? I'm like, yes, because because still, like, if you're as a maker, a quilter, you still might want to just cut out a section that you want to use, because it's going to be different than the blue tickets you got with blue, or the indigo tickets you got with indigo, or the purple tickets you got with purple. And you might still use those tickets with the other ones because they don't have that different background. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Anyway, that is going to be the tickets. I love that. I have a couple more multi. This one shouldn't come as any surprise either. Stamps. I'm like, oh, those stamps are so good, but I know what they look like in the sticker book for ideology. So can we just do all of the stamps in color order as well? I mean, look at that. Beautiful. So good. And again, we left out the neutrals of this just because, well, in order to fit all the colors, it would just make them so much smaller, and I didn't want to. I wanted to keep the scale the same. So I thought it was really important. Yeah, it had to be that. Isn't that beautiful? Like, oh, it's so fun to see them. And I think it does. It has a different, I don't know, has a different presence than the other ones, that you could still use it with ones you got from the color, or you might say, oh gosh, I wish that I just had, you know, because I just want to cut a strip and I want to do, you know, a border of something. I wish they were just all connected in that order. Well, you have it. Or, you know, if you have the fabric going this way, you could still have that, but you'd probably be able to replicate that from the red palette, but you wouldn't be able to do this mix with any of them. So that's why we did multi. Beautiful. And then the last one I'm going to share with you for multi is one that you guys saw in the graphic. You're like, are you even going to do that as fabric? Yes. That is the winner. It is going to be done as fabric. So we took the collage strips. So thank you again, Paula and Chris, because they really worked on the design for this. And these are the large collage strips that we did. So what we wanted to do is just kind of keep with that repeat, going more vertical for color. So, and it does get repeated a couple of times, and they're different. So I'll kind of show you. So if we go in from pink to red to orange, yellow, green, teal, blue, indigo, and violet. Then when we go to pink again, it's not the same pink as the first row. So we even wanted to take that art, same thing, like the red is going to be different than the first one. So that's really important to remember as we go through that 44-inch, that even though the color goes pink, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, when it starts again, it's a different collage strip that is going to be in that. So you'll get something different in that whole cross section as we go through. So we were very mindful of even how this rainbow one would be repeated. I think that's really good. Now, while I'm showing you this, I will talk about something that's going to be coming to stores when we launch the first color palette, which will be in October. So this one, again, this isn't until next year. This is next September. But there is a bag that we designed, a tote bag, kind of like it's a reusable, almost kind of reminds me of like a Tyvek kind of bag, but a big tote that retailers are going to have, that they are able to sell to consumers, or maybe use it as a promotional thing. But we utilize this art on that bag because the art was so fabulous. I'm like, oh my gosh, waiting until September 2025 to even see this. So there will be a bag promo going around, and that'll be available at retailers for the whole year. So that'll be fun if you guys really love this art. It's another way that that makes it exciting for you to go into. And it's not just in stores, it's really any retailer that's going to be selling palettes. So I know there's some online places that might be doing some promotional ideas for the bag, but the bag itself is cool. I wish I had one. It's still in development because we just wrapped this up, but yeah, I can't wait to share the surprises. So that was really an overview of the world of palette. I think that, you know, having a collection, a year-long collection, was a huge undertaking. As I mentioned, 120 individual designs, but knowing that starting in October of this year, a color will come out. It's 10 designs. You can pick and choose, or you can do the fat quarter of that. And then you can just build your own palette throughout the year. I know many makers, you know, we like to buy stuff. Maybe you're going to use it in real time, or maybe you're going to have some colors and say, okay, I want to use this. And we did it. I wanted to keep it in palette order, but actually it kind of worked to our favor, because by launching it now, you know, you'll be able to, if you're going to do Valentine makes, you'll have pink and red. Then we've got orange and yellow. So if you wanted to start Halloween early next year, you'll have some colors. Then when we launch green, you'll have green and red by March. So you can still do red and green if you're doing Christmas early. So if you're a quilter, I mean, it worked out. I'd like to say we were mindful of that, but I didn't want to change the color order. So, you know, even though one could argue, oh, we should have had multi first, I'm like, no, I think it's important to build the palette and then finish with multi. As I mentioned, fat quarters, even if you're not a quilter, but you're looking for a great way to get a cut piece of everything without buying a yard or a half yard, that really is what a fat quarter is. So again, check with your retailer if you're like, you know what, I don't want to pick and choose, I just want a little bit of each one. That to me is the way to do it. So you can budget that every month and already know what you're going to get. And then maybe if there's something you like, you go back to the store and say, oh, you know what, I actually want more of that one or more of that one. But it was important that FreeSpirit did fat quarters for this, and I'm so grateful they said yes, because they don't do it for every collection, because they are, you know, cut and folded and done by hand. But it was important to me because as a maker myself, I don't want FOMO. I'm like, if I just have a little nugget of everything, I'm good. I'm happy with that. So I'm really thrilled to finally be able to share what we've been working on, but also give you enough of a heads up to know that Palette is going to be a year-long release starting October 2024, available at independent retailers and online retailers worldwide. Very cool.